Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vicky and this is my 34-week pregnancy update. So a little bit about me before I start. I am currently 34 weeks pregnant with my second baby boy. I already have one boy who is 5 and I have a stepdaughter that is 8. So my channel is everything motherhood, beauty, fashion, lifestyle and fitness. So if you like what you see, I would love you to stick around. I recently hit a milestone on YouTube that I've been waiting for, and to celebrate that, I decided that I was going to be uploading new videos 2 to 3 times a week, and my scheduled days would be Sunday, Wednesday and Friday. Now the first week I did this, I managed to do it, and then this week just gone, I didn't, and I'll explain why in a minute. If you are new to my channel, this pregnancy has been a little bit of a roller coaster, but equally just as easy. So I've had a really easy pregnancy in terms of symptoms, but I have been in hospital a couple of times, which I've documented on here, once at 22 weeks and again at 30 weeks. Now, I didn't put anything on my social media last week because I didn't know what was happening, but I was in there again last week with another bleed. So I have had 2 bleeds now in this pregnancy, the first one being not so much, and the one on Thursday was quite big, so I'm going to go into that and just explain like what happened. Thursday night about 10:30, Simon was asleep, I was just about to go to bed, went to the loo, and I wish I could show you exactly how much it was, but I had quite a lot of blood. Now when I say blood, it wasn't bright red blood, it was like a pinky brown, and sorry to be graphic, but I'm hoping this helps other pregnant mums. And it was quite a lot, enough for me to worry. I did worry actually this time. I thought, oh my goodness, what's happening? So I went in and woke Simon up and phoned the midwife. Midwife obviously said, you need to come in, which I didn't want to hear, but I knew she was going to say. I was totally happy that baby was moving fine again. I didn't have any pain, but they have to check it out when you're at this. So I was 33 weeks and 4 days at that point. So I asked Simon if he could come with me. By this point it was about 11:30, which was a bit of a pain because we had both children. So we had to get the children out of bed, and my amazing mother-in-law had them, so we took them there, poor children, and then we went on to the hospital because last time I went in on my own, I ended up having to stay overnight and I didn't really like it. So I asked Simon if he could come with me, but this time, typically, they sent me home within about an hour. I mean, it was great. They saw me really, really quickly. They checked if my cervix had dilated at all, and they said that all the blood that they could see was old blood, so the colour of it meant that it was old blood, so they weren't that worried. The one thing that I do struggle with is they are very, very elusive, and what I mean by that is they don't really like to tell you what it could be or why it's happened, and I think the reason for that is they want to be non-committal and they don't want to really commit to saying one thing or another, because A, they don't really know, and B, if they say the wrong thing and you hold them to it, I don't think that they like that. So they basically said to me, have you had sex again, which is what they asked me last time. That was a no, and I'll be totally honest with you, we're both a bit too frightened to do it since the first time that we did and the waters went, so it's just kind of like not on the cards. Again, sorry TMI if my parents are watching this, or mother-in-law. So it's really difficult to pinpoint why it happens. All they say is your cervix is very vascular, and that can happen. Obviously at this stage of pregnancy, there is a slight concern that it could be a show and your body getting ready for labour. And I will say that the day after, no, 2 days after, on the Saturday, me and Simon went into Bath and we had a date day for my birthday, and basically I was having Braxton Hicks for 4 hours, and they weren't painful, but a couple of them were uncomfortable, and I was getting a bit worried. I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to go into labour? But nothing came of it and it was absolutely fine. I think I'm just on edge this time round, and I think that I don't think he's going to stay in there the whole time. I don't know. I just never had any experience with this with Oscar, so this is all new to me. So if anyone has had the same experience, please, please, please reach out to me, because I would love to hear it. I don't understand why it keeps happening, and it's quite, you know, it's quite an upheaval for the children and everything, so I'm hoping it doesn't happen again. I'll be honest, the day after I went in, I did have some more, but it wasn't loads like the first time, and I figured it was from the same bleed. So I didn't go in again, and he is moving absolutely fine. But they have said every time that I have it, I have to phone them. So let's get into the 34-week update. Now, based on the same theme as I did last week with the fruit, the fruit I've got today is smaller than what I had last week. So your baby at 34 weeks is the weight of a cantaloupe melon. Now this cantaloupe melon, I don't know if it's small and the pineapple I had last week was big, but it feels heavy enough to be a baby, but definitely not big enough. It's definitely smaller than what I had last week. So this is the weight of the baby. So I'm just gonna read out what my app says. I use the Baby Centre app, have used it the entire pregnancy. So it says, your baby is the size of a cantaloupe melon, which we've already said. Oh, it says the size, see? No way, he's bigger than that. He weighs more than 4.7 pounds and is about 45 centimetres from head to heel. And you may find it reassuring to know that babies born at 34 weeks who have no other health problems are able to survive outside of the womb. So that is so reassuring that if I did go into labour now, from now on, he would be fine. So I'm really, really happy about that. Your baby already knows your voice, but it may now be possible for him to recognise lullabies and songs too. This is because the part of her ear that sends messages to her brain is becoming more mature. Research shows that if you sing to your baby before he's born, he's more likely to be soothed by the same song after birth. This is a great way to bond with your baby. I didn't know this, so I might start doing that actually. I sang to Oscar not when he was in my tummy, but when he was a baby. And we used to sing this song to get him to sleep. I am not singing for you guys, by the way, but it was the monkeys jumping on the bed. I don't know if anyone knows it. If you Google 5 Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed, it's such a silly song, but we used to sing that to him. And in the car the other day, I haven't sang it to him since he was like 2. And in the car the other day, we were singing, me and Oscar, and I said to him, do you remember this song? And I sang it to him, and I sang it the whole way through. And I looked at him and he had the biggest grin on his face. So he definitely remembers. He probably doesn't actually remember the times when but it definitely triggers something in his brain. It made him feel really happy. So that's really sweet. So I can see how that works. The pregnancy symptoms at 34 weeks. I'll go through what my app says and then I'll go through what I've had. Heartburn and indigestion. I don't really get that. Maybe making a comeback now your baby's pushing against your tummy. It may help to eat small meals throughout the day instead of 3 big meals. Try not to lie down straight after eating either, and a nice nap after dinner may sound like a good idea, but lying down can leave you feel bloated and uncomfortable. You could also try avoiding foods likely to make the problem worse. Main culprits include rich, high-fat or spicy foods, as well as chocolate, citrus, alcohol and coffee. If the problem is worse at night, try raising your head off your mattress or bed a little with the help of your partner. No, I don't really get heartburn, so I've actually never had it, which is crazy. I genuinely don't know what it feels like. Yeah, that's that really. I'm just gonna read this. So it says what to do if your waters break early. Now I can't see this happening because it's actually only like, I think it's, don't quote me on this, but I read the other day, obviously Google's been my best friend the last few days since I've been in hospital, since I went to hospital again. And I'm sure I read somewhere that only like 8% of women's waters break naturally instead of like the hospital having to do it. So, but I'm going to read this bit of information anyway because it might be useful. So you have to keep calm, wear a pad not a tampon, and keep check of the colour of the fluid and how much you're losing. Some women have a big gush while others have a trickle. Either way you'll need to be assessed by your midwife or doctor. So your midwife will prescribe your waters as breaking early if it happens before 37 weeks pregnant. So she'll write you that would be classed as preterm labour if you go into labour before 37 weeks. Once your waters have broken, your baby is less protected against infection and bacteria can sometimes travel. So if you're having a small trickle of fluid every now and again, your midwife will want to check that it's definitely your waters rather than wee. It's common to leak urine late in pregnancy and it can easily be mistaken for the waters. That may happen to some people, but I think I'd know, maybe I'm being smug, but I think I'd know if that was the case. So yeah, so basically if your waters go, you've just got to go to see a midwife, which I kind of knew that anyway. I can't see that happening to me because mine had to be broken last time, and a lot of people I speak to say the same thing. So that's that. So I'm going to go into my pregnancy symptoms at 34 weeks. Now, the first one I'm going to say is I am so tired today because I had insomnia last night. So I woke up about I couldn't go to sleep to start with when we got into bed about 10:30. I think it probably took me about half an hour, 40 minutes. I didn't check the time because I don't, because it just drives me insane if I look at the time, but it took me quite a while. And then I woke up. Again, I didn't look at the time immediately. It must have been about like 2:30, 20 to 3, because I eventually looked at the time at 3:10 this morning, and I came downstairs to have a chamomile tea to try and get me back to sleep. I ended up staying down here till 4:30. I went back upstairs, tried to go to sleep till 5. The other reason I couldn't go to sleep is because the baby was moving so much, and he was like pressing on some kind of nerve, and it was really, really, really uncomfortable. So I just couldn't get comfortable lying down. So at 5 o'clock, I came back downstairs. I actually ate some toast, which is really odd for me. I never eat breakfast that early in the morning, but I had a piece of toast. I sat down here till 6. I could hear some footsteps upstairs. So I ran upstairs and I got Oscar back into bed because he didn't go to bed till about 8 o'clock last night. It was too early for him to wake up. So I just laid back in bed with him, and I actually fell back to sleep. So I fell back to sleep till 7:30. So I did manage to get a bit of sleep, but had he not have woken up, I wouldn't have gone back to bed, because I think once it got to 5 o'clock, I was just like, I'm awake now, that's that. So yeah, insomnia, like quite bad. I haven't had any leg cramps like I had last time, so that's good. I've had lots and lots of Braxton Hicks, which I've touched on previously. So if you haven't had Braxton Hicks before, Braxton Hicks are a false contraction. So you're tightening of the tummy, slightly uncomfortable, but not painful. So you can kind of talk through it. Although one of the ones I had on Saturday, I couldn't actually talk through it. Not because it was ridiculously painful, just because I was like, okay, this needs to go. But they don't last very long. They're like, what, 10, 20 seconds? And so irregular, so it wasn't a problem. So I've been having lots of those. Movements are getting a little bit uncomfortable now. So they're so big, his movements, that I am feeling slightly uncomfortable when he moves. But I love feeling him, so I don't mind. So that's good. And that is about it. I'm definitely more tired at this stage of pregnancy, so I'm just going to try and take it easy now. As I say, last week was pretty hectic with going into hospital, and then it was my birthday. I had loads on, but I will be making sure that I do regular updates from now on, and 2 to 3 videos a week for you all, which is great. So I'm just going to do a bump update. Now I have got a dress on because it's so hot today, so I'll have to show you through my dress, but you should be able to see it. So there is my bump. A lot of people have said to me recently my bump has dropped. I'm not sure I feel like it has or not, but that's what people are saying. I'll show you out of clothes next week so you can see. Currently I have no stretch marks. So we shall see. Still using the same products as I used in my last video. So that is the Clarins oil and also the Palmer's cocoa butter. So using both of those. I now have my hospital bags in the car, especially after last week. I have my hospital bags in the car, my notes are in the car, everything is in there, ready to go. I haven't sorted the nursery yet. I touched in my last video that we are now even further behind with the extension plans than I thought, which is really upsetting, but I'm not going to get hung up about it, because now I know it's not going to be done before the baby. I'm just going to focus on the baby, and our house is lovely. I just had my sights set on having a much bigger space and space for the baby before he comes, but it doesn't matter. We will get it done. and that's a subject I'll talk about in a separate video because it's not baby related, but that is it. That is my 34-week pregnancy update. 6 weeks to go. I can't believe it. My guess is he's gonna come in 4 weeks. 4 weeks for me would be perfect because he'd be big enough. I would have had 4 weeks with the children off on the summer holidays because they break up this week. We would have had our little mini break. So next week we are going to not like a campsite, like sort of like that, in Devon. We're staying in a lodge. So I'd really like to get that out of the way. I'd really like to sort his nursery out. I'd really like to make sure I've made a tick list of what I need to buy and what I need to finish off. And then I'll be ready for him. And it would be really nice if Oscar could be at home for the first like week or two of his life before he has to go back to school, because I'm really concerned about how Oscar's gonna feel when the baby comes along, because he's my one and only child at the moment. I know I've got a stepdaughter, but he's my child, and that is one thing I'm slightly concerned about, that it's been me and him for 5 years, nearly 5.5 years, and it's going to be a big adjustment for him. Although I have no doubt that he's going to be an amazing big brother, I don't want to push him out. I don't want to send him off to school, have the baby send him off to school, and he doesn't get to spend that much time with us. So I'd really like it actually if the baby was about a week early, week to 2 maximum. That would be ideal. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe. I have a very informative, maybe exciting video coming up for you on Wednesday, and that is all about the different nappy brands, and I'm going to test them all. Obviously not on a real baby because I don't have a real baby at the moment, but I am going to I'm going to leak test all of them, and I am going to just run through the prices. So hopefully that's interesting for you all, and if there's any other content you would like to see from me, please pop it in the description box below. And thank you so much for everyone that keeps continuing to watch my videos. Thank you, see you in the next video.